Sports with Pete Byrne.
The College Football Playoff Committee continues to be impressed with Notre Dame. The Fighting Irish jump up a spot in the rankings tonight, and they are now fourth. And, of course, the top four is exactly where you want to be when the final edition comes out on December 6th. Here's a look at what needs to happen for the Irish in order to stay there. And, again, this conversation always predicated on Notre Dame winning out and getting to 11-1. Three teams made really big jumps in the rankings this week, starting with Iowa all the way up to number 5, undefeated out of the Big Ten. And as you can see, the remaining schedule, Minnesota, Purdue, Nebraska, not overly daunting, but they still would have a potential Big Ten championship game against Ohio State. One of those two teams is going to finish below Notre Dame for sure. I think Notre Dame's biggest problem right now comes from a potentially undefeated Big 12 champion. Baylor stays put at 6. They still have 3 top 15 games to come, a very difficult schedule. One of those games against number 8 Oklahoma State, who is the biggest riser in this week's poll. Up to number 8, they still have 2 tough games remaining. Difficult for either of those teams to run the table, I think, at this point, but should they do it, again, their resume from a strength of schedule standpoint suddenly becomes very, very daunting. The other big mover this week is Stanford, up from 11 to number 7, and they have a great chance as well. Of course, they play Notre Dame a couple days after Thanksgiving, a game that could ultimately turn into what amounts to a play-in game. And with 2 weeks to go before that potentially huge showdown out in California, Brian Kelly likened the mentality of his team right now to running on a treadmill.
It's kind of like being on the treadmill where you just you keep your eyes in front of you and you just keep moving forward and moving forward to the next challenge in front of us, and that challenge is Wake Forest. We're just going to focus on getting better this week, improving on the things that we need to get better at, and not worrying about the noise out there about where we are, and really concentrating on how we can become championship football players.
It's unclear if running back C.J. Prosise will be able to play in Notre Dame's final home game this weekend. Brian Kelly said that he passed his first stage of concussion protocol, but still has another hurdle before he can be cleared to play on Saturday. And Kelly hopes to know that answer by tomorrow.